Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing really well. So although today's challenge is a pretty simple one, but there is an interesting approach for that also. And this question is a perfect example of this quote that if you found a good approach to a question, you should definitely look for a better one. So let's see the problem statement. N repeated elements in a size to an array. Uh, you are given an integer array nums with the following properties. Nums.length is 2 into n and the nums contain n plus 1 unique elements. Exactly one element is repeated n times. Return the element that is repeated n times. So it just says that out of the total length of the array, half of the elements are same. Okay, so and the array length is always even. It is 2 into n. Okay, so you see in this length 4, 3 is repeated 2 times. In this length 6, 2 is repeated 3 times. In this length of 8, 5 is repeated 4 times. Okay. So obviously if this is a normal coding round, you can just solve it. You can just count the number of elements. Uh, each element you can just count and see whichever is of frequency n times, whichever is of repeated n times, you can just return that number. And yeah, but the interview, if you are asked this question in an interview, it may ask you to solve in O of n time as well as O of 1 space complexity. Okay, so it is uh, very important to understand in detail. So if you see this nums dot length, it is 2 into n, right? So the length of the array must be in even. It is already told it is must be in even, and n number contain n plus 1 unique elements. What does it say? It says that, let's say it is of size 8 and let's say 5 is repeated somewhere 4 times. Okay, let's say 5 is repeated 4 times. All the other, it must be n plus 1 unique elements, right? So how many elements are remaining? See, this is the whole size was 2 into n. Okay, so how many size uh, see, n elements you have already filled up. So how many elements are still remaining? It is n. So each of them has to be unique. So 2 and 2 cannot be present. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 6, something like this, it can be present. Okay, and you see the total number of unique elements is nothing but this is a unique element 1. These 4 unique elements are there, which makes you n unique elements, and one element is repeated n times, that is also unique. So n plus 1 unique element. So the thing is that one element will be repeated half number of times and the other elements all has to be unique. Okay, so it just boils down to if you find any number repeated, just return it. Okay, and you can just keep a map. Okay, first I'm telling you that in O of 1 space complexity also this can be done. First I'm telling you the brute force approach. You can keep a map seen int comma integer, and if you have seen this element before in the array, you can just store it as 1 or you can just increase it. And if you see that you are encountering the same element again, you can just return that element. Okay, so that will be all. If you try to just code this out quickly, uh, n is nothing but nums dot size, and you can have a map. Unordered map is more optimal for amortized complexity, so I will use unordered map. I will use a scene for this, and for every element I will just go through and I will just check if this element is already seen. Okay, so if this element is already seen, you can return that element itself. And every time what you can do, you can just do, hey, this element I have been already seen, so I can mark it 1. Okay, scene of this element is 1, and if you see that you are encountering the same element as now as before, so you can just return that element, and it will never return anything over here because it is guaranteed that a number will be repeated. So you can just simply return -1. If you try to run this, it will work just fine, I guess. So you see, it gives you an accepted, and if you submit it, it also works. But yeah, after having this solution in the interview, the interviewer might ask you, hey, you are using an extra space complexity over here. You are using an extra data structure. How to get rid of that data structure, okay, and still have the same solution. Okay, so if you try to see something that, see, in this problem, half of the element must be same, right? So if you try to see, let's say this is again an 8 size array where 5 is present 4 times and there are some other elements. Now let me draw 8 dashes. Okay, and if you try to place 5 within this, and if you try to place it very evenly as possible, then what you will do? Then you will end up in placing them alternately. Okay, or in this way also you could have placed it. This is placing it as evenly as possible. Now if you try to make it less evenly, so if you try to do something like you try to remove this 5, then you have to place 5, let's say over here somewhere. Okay, so if you are placing 5 over here, you reduce the crowd of 5 over here, but you increase the crowd somewhere else. Okay, so again, so what you can tell by this, that when if a number is repeated n times in an n by a 2 into n sized array, then in every 3 length window, so you try to check all the 3 length window. Okay, see all 3 length window, you at least once you should find that they are repeating. Okay, so you might ask me, hey, if I do something like this, if I try to remove this and place it somewhere here, then see, in this window, in this particular window, you won't find anything. In this particular window, again you won't find anything. In this particular window, again you won't find anything. But in this window, you found the 5 two times. Okay, you found the 5 two times. So you can just say that, hey, here is I got an element which is repeated, and since all other elements must be distinct, all other elements cannot be repeated by in any manner, so I can simply return 5. Okay, I can simply return 5. Now there can be another example which is clicking to your mind right now, is that something like this. What if 5 is, it's a full length array as 5 is present over here? Then you see, if you take 3 this length window, you do not get anything. If you take this length window, you again do not get anything, right? But still 5 is present n number of times and in a 2n length array, right? But it turns out that this is the only exception. Okay, this is the only exception. If you increase the array size from 4 to 6, okay, you have to increase the occurrence of 5, and which will make 5 more crowded. Okay, so the same logic, if you try to spread 5 as evenly as possible, it is alternate, and even in an alternate case you will get 5 repeated 2 times, and otherwise if you try to remove 5 you will be making up crowding in some other places. Okay, so definitely you will catch up. Okay, so if you want to place 5 in something like this, I want to place 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. See, here you have reduced 5. So in initial window, this window, you won't get anything. But whenever this window will come, you say you get 2 5s, or this window will come, you get 3 5s. So you are getting repeated elements. Okay. So turns out that this 4 length array is the only exception where you can build where it is not even in a 3 length window you are not getting anything. So for that, by default you can return the first element. Okay, the first element will be your answer, because yeah, that is what that can be repeated 2 times in a 4 length array. Otherwise this pattern does not hold true in any other array. Okay, so uh, what you can do is very simple. You can get rid of this scene. Okay, you can simply get rid of this, and what you can do is you just check that if this nums of I is equals to, so first of all this will go till n minus 2. Okay, and this nums of I is equals to nums of I minus 1, I plus 1, or in a 3 length window you are checking, right? So you can just see whether the first element is equal to the next element, or the first element is equal to the next element. Okay, so that will be 3 length window. If anything turns out to be like this, you can just simply return a nums of I. Okay, return nums of I. uh, you just keep doing this again and again, and if you do not find anything, that can be possible only in the case of this 4 length array, then you can simply return nums of 0, right? You just return the first element. You simply return the first element. So I guess this should work. Let's try to run and check if it does. Okay, so it gives you a wrong answer over here. So it tells you that okay, so you ended up in checking I with I plus 1 and I with I plus 2. You did not check the third criteria, that nums of I can also be I plus 1 can also be equal to I plus 2, right? Okay. This is also a valid case. Okay. In a 3 length window, this two might be equal, this two might be equal, and this, see, in the last window 3 and 3 are there, so that is I plus 1 and I plus 2, they might be equal to each other. So yeah, you can return for this. It is still giving you a wrong answer. Uh, okay, so yeah, basically what happens is that if the first element is equal to the second element, or the first element is equal to the third element, you want to return the equal number, right? So you are returning the first element over here. But if something like this also happens, if I plus 1 becomes equal to I plus 2, what you need to do is return I plus 1, right? Not return the nums of I. For every case, for all the three cases, you are not returning nums of I. For this, you need to return 3, not 2. So that's why I was again getting an error. Let's see if this time it works out. Yeah, it does. Let's try to submit for all test cases and see if we missed out anything. Yeah, we did not miss, and you see we get a 100% runtime as well as memory. Yeah, it is not showing up 100% memory, but yeah, we did our best. This is a simple O of 1 time complexity. uh, yeah, although you're given this nums array, but you can see the memory increased right now. So yeah, that's all. I guess that's all for this video. This question was more important from an interview perspective than a normal OA, because in normal OA you could have used multiple approaches. You can just use brute force to count the frequency of all elements and then just return the one, or you can just use the scene map, unordered map. Okay, so yeah, that's all for this video. I will meet you in the next video. Till then, thanks a lot.